Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. I'm your host, Rabbi Yehuda Ben Shomer. Within every religious or political group or anything that has a leader, an organization, there is always the potential for corruption. There is always the potential to have a cultish, dictatorial type leader. And no organization or no religion is immune to this. You've heard the saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And in that phrase lies the key of what not to look for in a leader. If any leader or teacher desires complete and total unquestioning authority and leadership over an organization or over a people, right there is one of the biggest red flags that tells you have nothing to do with this man or woman and run. Because when you have a leader that will not allow him or herself to be questioned, that's the makings of a cult. That's the making of a Jim Jones, a David Koresh, and others who got people in a big community or a compound and everybody ended up dead. A leader, if a leader meets you and has just this overwhelming charm that he flatters you and butters you up and he barely knows you, that is another red flag. Because flattery usually comes with a price. So kind of beware of that. Also, if this leader, I've already mentioned, if he refuses to be questioned, refuses to have his or her authority to be questioned, and is not willing to be accountable to other people or to a board or to some other leadership construct to where there's checks and balances, those are red flags and good indications to skedaddle, to get on out of there. That's not the leader that you want. Also, in his or her teachings and everyday communications among people, if you find little inconsistencies or changing the mind very abruptly and quickly without a transition in regards to what he's teaching, in regards to doctrine, and even daily accounts, if he's telling his life story or telling this, that, or the other, if there's inconsistencies and you find things don't add up, there's another red flag that you need to watch out for. That's what not to look for in a leader. That's not the kind of leader that you want to sit under for teaching and instruction and guidance in your life, whether religiously or otherwise. Also, be very aware with the flattery comes manipulation. If the person can charm you and flatter you, that person has the ability to manipulate your emotions. If this person is a good actor, can produce the crocodile tears at the drop of a hat, and could really weave a sob story. Those might be some red flags and indications that this is not the type of guy or girl that you want to follow within an organization. Also, if somebody does challenge this person's authority, see if they act in humility and patience or if they act in anger. If they act out and lash out in anger and create some sort of smear campaign and becomes this spin doctor and puts a spin on what the other person's saying in his favor, his or her favor, right there is another red flag and an indication that this leader could very well be from a cult or could possibly turn his or her organization into a cult. This is what not to look for in a leader. These are undesirable traits and things that you don't want in somebody who has any sort of authority over you, whether they're in an organization, religious or otherwise, or they're in some sort of teaching or instructive capacity. There's many, many more things that I could bring out, but mostly you want to make sure that this person is honest and transparent. If this person who wants authority and leadership over you in a teaching capacity or what have you is not willing to be clear, forthright, transparent, and honest and consistent, that's not the kind of person you want to follow. If you do, you're just making yourself willingly blind to what this person really is and how this person really operates, and you're going to either end up very brokenhearted, disappointed, and disillusioned, or you could end up dead. Another thing is, it's true that every organization, especially religious and nonprofit, does need funds. But if the majority of this person's teaching is about money, and about raising money, and about funds, and about making the members feel guilty for not giving money, money, right there is one of the biggest red flags. You know, you don't want to be duped out of that. You don't want to be made to feel guilty, because there's many people who desire to give but simply can't because of their financial situation, or they're giving elsewhere. And it shows that this person cares more about money, per se, more so than you know, teaching and instructing and doing the right thing. So these are the things that you need to look for, that may point out a cult leader. These are the things that you look for, and if you find them, you run from that person. You run from that organization. That person, that organization, their teachings are not for you. No matter how attractive or how, you know, fairy tale, candy-coated everything looks, run. You want somebody that's honest, that's humble, that's transparent, that shoots straight. You know what? You actually want a person that will offend you. Not in an angry or cocky, arrogant way, but somebody that will tell you the truth, and down deep in your heart you know it's the truth, but yet you don't want to hear it, and you cringe because you feel like you're getting your toes smashed. That's the person you want to look for. That's the type of leader you want. Somebody that will shoot straight from the hip, with no apologies, no flash, no glam, but will just tell it to you straight, lay all the cards out on the table. Above all, you want this person to be honest and transparent and willing to be held accountable. And that doesn't mind questions or being questioned, because questions, that's the way people learn. And if somebody isn't clear about something, you know, if the person that's in leadership has nothing to hide and has no reason to feel guilty, there's no reason for that person to lash out in anger, but just you know, because if they lash out in anger, that usually implies guilt. And you know, offense usually implies guilt. But if somebody's questioned and they're not guilty, usually the way they'll handle it is like, you know what, I can see your point of view, I can see how you can get that perspective, but you're misunderstood. Let me be able to set the record straight for you and lay it all out on the table. That's all it takes, not this, how dare you question my authority and my integrity, and blah blah blah, calling me a liar, blah 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 blah, you know, you have authority issues, you don't want to submit, blah 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 blah. Run from those people. Have nothing to do with them. They're nothing but fakes and charlatans, and they want nothing more than your money and your soul. Make sure that the person that you decide to follow organizationally, religiously, what have you, is a humble person that emulates integrity and emulates Messiah Yeshua to the very best of that person's ability. Not to put them on a pedestal, as in my video, everybody's got a monkey, but just to realize, you know, everybody will make mistakes, everybody's fallible, everybody will slip up and fall, but when that person does make a mistake, they will readily admit it and readily rectify the problem in situations. Those are the things that you need to look for in a good leader. So running out of time here, we'll catch you on the flip side. Shalom and Shavua Tov. Bye-bye.